Today just to have like two parts. One about how to do it in Krishna consciousness. Actually, the first one is just to do it, and then the second one, how to do it, eventually just according to the interest, diving in different subjects, commenting from Srila Prabhupada, mainly from his letters, which those who attempt to read should read with great caution and great deal of discrimination, understanding that his letters were written to individual persons according to time and circumstances, but nevertheless they do contain also general lessons to be learned from. Several Prabhupada was kind of hesitant to publish these letters to start with, knowing well that they are of a very personal nature. They are written to individual devotees. But nevertheless, Prabhupada keeps a very general preaching tone in all the letters. Prabhupada was never to be intimidated or to be provoked to dive into some kind of familiar exchanges, of any kind. Also preventing his disciples to become familiar, which was a great risk for the first generation of disciples. The later generation was already facing Prabhupada as the leader of a worldwide movement who was worshipped obviously in a way, on a level which didn't allow such a familiarity like in initial intimate days when there was just few first devotees staying together with Prabhupada practically in one room. So this is an offering which I found on the way from Giridhari Swami. I don't know him. I don't know who's Giridhari Swami. There are obviously quite a few new sannyasis. I don't know the name. Maybe I knew the Brahmacharya name, but I don't need the sannyasi name anymore. So it's actually very nice offering. Again, pointing out something which we are all facing daily. It's called just do it. So Devidas Swami writes here, recently one of your dear disciples and close companion of mine asked, how can we make advancement in Krishna consciousness? I answered that it depends upon our practice of sadhana combined with preaching. Sadhana inspires the mood of preaching, and preaching nurtures sadhana. This seemed like a reasonable answer at the time. However, as I thought about this question more carefully, it seemed that my answer lacked depth. I began to ponder my Gopal's question and my answer more deeply. You say in your Chaitanya Charitamrita, the seed of devotion cannot sprout unless watered by the process of hearing and chanting. One should submissively receive the transcendental message from spiritually advanced sources and chant the very same message for one's own benefit as well as the benefit of one's audience. This is from Adalila. To my way of thinking, you are saying that preaching is included as a part of sadhana bhakti, and that preaching therefore nourishes our own devotional creeper as well as the creepers of others. Krishna says something similar in the Bhagavad Gita. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Lord Krishna clearly favors the preacher so much that he guarantees pure devotional service and the privilege of returning to the spiritual realm. In principle, then, the connection between sadhana, preaching and advancement seems very concrete. Still, I felt something very significant was missing from my answer. What was it? Sometimes later on, I came across a passage from Srimad Bhagavatam that struck me. Jnana, or knowledge, means to understand one's constitutional position, and vijnana refers to practical application of that knowledge in life. In the human form of life, one should come to the position of jnana and vijnana, but despite this great opportunity, if one does not develop knowledge and practical application of knowledge through the help of a spiritual master and the Shastras, in other words, one misuses this opportunity, then in the next life he is sure to be born in a species of non-moving living entities. Here, Srila Prabhupada stressed the importance of both jnana, knowledge, and vijnana, realized knowledge. Knowledge and its practical application. Practical application is so essential that you say, if one misuses this opportunity, then in the next life he is sure to be born in a species of non-moving living entities. Throughout your teachings, you repeatedly emphasize the importance of practical application. This is another quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. O King, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me. Another quote from a letter to Danavi Maharaj. Our philosophy is practical. Actually, philosophy means practical application. If it is a mere theory, then it has no value. The deeper and more deeper answer to my Gopal's question was becoming clear. More important than the principle of preaching nourishing sadhana and sadhana nourishing preaching is how we practice sadhana and how we preach. Proper application application of the principle is as important as the principle itself. Just understanding the theory without practical application has, as you say, no value. Practical application of the principle of sadhana being nourished by preaching and preaching being nourished by sadhana is therefore a real challenge. Example is better than precept, you often taught us. But alas, 40 years have gone by and I have yet to come to the level of pure devotional service as you desired. How to develop the level of sincerity required to fully apply the principles of devotional service? How to hear and chant without offense, with full attention and with genuine love? How to be selfless in my service to you, you followers, and Krishna? Questions such as these repeated themselves again and again in my mind. I was feeling quite hopeless, but then I heard a story about you told by Srila. Maharaj was describing an incident that occurred during your visit in Montreal in 1975. Your visit was brief, only for a few hours, but you deeply touched the lives of several devotees that day. One such devotee was an Indian-bodied young man who had been coming to the temple for a couple of years. He was giving donations and also chanting 16 rounds. As you walked past this devotee, you turned to him and asked, "Are you chanting 16 rounds?" This young man was awestruck that you had spoken to him and he was at a complete loss for words. He answered, "I'm trying." You then lifted up your can, placed its point into his chest and started pushing. He slowly backed up until he was pushed up against the wall of the temple building. You then told him, "Don't try, just do it." Beyond the humor of this pastime, I thought about its gravity and how it could be applied to my situation. All I really needed was just do it. By pushing myself beyond the confines of material conditioning and practically applying the principle of devotional service, I could and would advance on the path of pure devotional service. But this will not happen by my own meager endeavor alone. I need your mercy for empowerment. Otherwise, I will go on for many lifetimes and get nowhere. On this day, I pray for a drop of your mercy. Please give me the strength to practically apply the principles of devotional service fully and thus advance in Krishna consciousness. I see nothing else of value in this world. When I next see that godbrother who asked me how to advance in Krishna consciousness, I will tell him that sadhana indeed nourishes preaching and preaching nourishes sadhana. But unless we get your mercy, so that we can practically apply the principle of devotional service wholeheartedly, advancement will continue to elude us. Therefore, armed with your mercy, we must just do it. Your humble servant, Great Husband. So it's a very, very nice offering, which once again, makes the point very strongly here that you have to practice. And practice in a practical field. Practice while we are living, breathing, cooking, cleaning, associating with others. Every minute of our lives is exhibited by some activity. Even stubborn Mayavadi who sits somewhere and doesn't want to do anything, he will also finally be very intensely trying not to do anything. That's also work. Krishna says you cannot sustain this body without any work even. Work means activity. So this is, sometimes people are wondering, why Krishna wants to get me a job or what? No. This means actually that you are acting. Working means acting. So everybody must act in some way, and in that action will be demonstrated how Krishna conscious we are. We can become like actors, and we must. In the beginning, is no other choice. In the beginning, we are like kind of pretending to be a devotee. It's unavoidable. The impulse is real. The desire is real. Otherwise, one wouldn't even try. So Therefore Krishna says even after many, many lifetimes somebody tries even to do this. And it's also stated like that on devotion, that whoever even tries actively to be engaged in Krishna consciousness must have performed something in previous lifetime. So there is a sincere desire, sure, but ultimately the advancement will be exhibited by practical action. What do we do? Therefore Prabhupada actually said this one nice thing. I never discussed with my spiritual master much anything. I was just listening. And my only question is, how can I serve you? That's all. Practical activity. What can I do? Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, the first thing you do, wash pots. I don't know if I say anything.
I was thinking about the same thing. Should we try find him?
No.
I can take a look in the ashram.
Maybe.
He isn't here.
He's there? He checked out completely?
Maybe it could be here.
Maybe he will...
Is he sleeping?
If he doesn't like it, then he check out.
Take a look.
Just make it quick. So, the practical thing, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, let him wash pots. That's a practical thing. You know, Srila Prabhupada was often viewed by being a very controversial guru because he was doing so many things, organizing, managing, practical things, you know. Usually people connect spiritual life to something called retreat, that you retreat from a physical presence even in a society, you retreat from a physical activity. And in one sense, this is true, we do retreat, but in an active field. Like example, Arjuna was very much retreated in that sense that he just fought. He just fought for Krishna, that's all, you know. And while he was totally focused on Krishna, fighting for Krishna, he retreated from the association of others. That's real retreat. So you can be very withdrawn from wrong association. You can be very retreated while being still in the middle of the practical action. Like example, you go on Harinam and chant the holy name, you are very much retreated. You have nothing to do with the rest of Copenhagen or with the rest of the city. You just chant Hare Krishna. You know. So in other words, you are giving association. We don't take association. You are giving association. So therefore one should be very careful in the early stage, being immature by sentimentally trying to give association and being polluted by the other association. So this is actually not really supposed to be done like this. So this is our real definition of retreat in action. Because you can be retreated all the way through and still you are not. This is the classic story of the two brahmacharis who are trying to cross a river or waiting for a boat to cross the river, but the boat didn't come. And finally they were joined by one young Mataji, who also wanted to cross the river, but the boat didn't come. The boatman was not available. So finally they discovered the river is not so deep. Well, let's walk through this. And then seeing this helpless Mataji standing there, not knowing what to do, one brahmachari told to the other, to the Mataji, well, Mataji, you look so helpless, please, you want to go to the other side of the river, just crawl on my back, I can carry you over. So that's what she did. And finally, crossing the river like this, coming to the other side, the Mataji was thinking very much. She got, down from the back of the brahmachari and left. So they walked towards the town and it was complete silence. And after a few minutes of silence, this one brahmachari said to the other, I still cannot believe it. I just cannot believe it. We are brahmacharis, we are supposed to be completely aloof from association with women. And you take this Mataji on your back while crossing the river. She was sitting on your back. How could you do that? And then other brahmachari smiled and he said, well, she was sitting on my back for 5 minutes as we crossed the river. But she's sitting on your mind since half an hour since we walked here, as you constantly think about it. So the point is made that that doesn't mean all the Brahmachari should carry matajas around the back, but the point is that it is actually more what is damaging the spiritual life, what is dwelling in your mind, is what you're actually physically really contacting. Physical contact may be for a few seconds or minutes, but the mind, there you can have your association for a long time. So that can be contradicted by practical action. The nice thing is that when you are practically engaged in Krishna consciousness, you have to focus what you are doing. And when you are focusing what you are doing, then you have to also, sooner or later, know why are you doing that. That means there must be a process of hearing. Doing means chanting and hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam. This goes all the time like this. So if the Kirtanam is not backed by Shravanam, it will stop. And if it's just Kirtanam, actually Kirtanam means also Shravanam. Prabhupada, I just heard the lecture where he nicely describes that the level of chanting together, it's a wonderful, if somebody wants to know, to have a wonderful introduction to the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I can give you the lecture. It's one of the very early ones, where Prabhupada was asked, what are we actually chanting here? By people. They had no idea. They were just responding, but they had no idea, what are we actually chanting here? So Prabhupada says, since I was asked to explain what we are chanting here, now I will explain the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And it's an explanation which goes like for 1 hour. And it's beautiful and wonderful. Prabhupada from all points of view explain, what we're actually doing. But there also he explains that the Shravanam and Kirtanam is mutual. You are chanting, I am hearing. I am chanting, you are hearing. So the hearing and the chanting is balanced out like this. The real thing is that the holy name is chanted and migrated all the time. So this Prabhupada describes it not like, I am giving you the holy name, I am chanting when you are listening. No, he describes it, I am also listening as you are chanting. And it goes back and forth like this. So this is called Sankirtan, a congregational chanting of the holy name. So this is a nice offering which describes actually the most important point, that if not applied, it's not practiced. This knowledge, Prabhupada comes to that point many times in his purpose. It's not a bookworm knowledge. Like bookworm, there is worms who like to eat paper. So they attack books. So you could say such a worm is also diving into the Bhagavad Gita. He's really absorbed in Bhagavad Gita. He's consuming the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. No, he just eats the paper, that's all. Because he doesn't understand, he has no brain. So if one doesn't understand what one is doing, and doesn't actually practice it consciously, with realization which should be tested, then Prabhupada is very heavy, he says no value. It just remains conserved in your brain. So that's actually what we are doing all the time. We are just practicing. Prabhupada gave us so many practical things to do. But why doing that, any kind of activity you perform for Krishna, seems from external point of view mundane. People think, well, we are cooking. You are selling something on the street, we are selling. You are driving a car, I am driving a car. That's a big deal. What's the difference? No, it is a big difference. Because when they are doing this, they are thinking, now I cook for myself or for my family. Now I drive car for myself. Just all the time, this egocentric meditation goes on, all the time. Whereby a devotee thinks, now I am doing this for Krishna, I am doing that for Krishna. And that forces him to focus, while in that activity. Actually, Prabhupada describes practically, in an early stage of Krishna consciousness, the devotee gets focused on the activity. In a more advanced stage, he understands, actually, he's not connected even. He's not focused on activity. That he will do automatically. He's focused on the person he is serving, Krishna. But already on the point for focusing on that activity in devotional service, there is ruchi or taste developing. You don't even know how it happened. You suddenly think, I like it. It's good. I want to do it again. It's nice. But you are not fully aware, so you are doing it all the time. This is really for Krishna. And that personal meditation, Prabhupada gives one of the Goswamis gives a really nice example, very simple one. May my love to God be so natural and so intense as the love of a boy for a girl, or a girl's love for a boy. That can be fully upright. Because when you are in love, whatever you do, it's connected to that person. You have no question in mind. I'm cooking now. For whom I'm cooking? I'm cooking for him. Oh yeah. Or I'm plucking this flower for her. Oh, now I plucked the flower, I forgot for whom. This doesn't happen when there is a connection of love. So in the initial stage, that's called sadhana, you just practice. You ring the bell and you do these things and sometimes you think, oh yeah, it's Krishna, that's nice. Yeah, Krishna is nice, it's okay. But it's like, you get even sometimes entangled with the activity. You get angry, what I'm doing here, because you completely forget for whom you are actually doing that. If you would really be in love with your girlfriend, then you would, I don't know what, nowadays I don't do that, but you would pick flowers for her, you would not think, damn flowers, there's too much of them, I have to tell you, because there's too much. No, of course not. You will think it's for her, and then you will be careful what you are doing and doing it the best way you can. But you can see what a poor quality our devotional service to Krishna is, because we are serving Krishna and we get like, this is too much and I want to do something else. It's too much. Well, if you come in that mood, then obviously your connection to Krishna is not that strong. But still, devotional service is so powerful that in itself, as you do that, it's all connected. Krishna accepts. Yes, he's angrily serving me, but he is still serving me, especially in the form of Lord Chaitanya. He is chanting such a nonsense, but still he's chanting. There are not so many people chanting. Look, listen how he's chanting. Hare Krishna, 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 dab, 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 Krishna, 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 dab, 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 dab. He's chanting. Yeah. It must be terrible for Krishna to hear, but we are chanting them. But he appreciates the endeavor. Still, the example is of giving of Prabhupada putting that stick in that gentleman's chest.